box or whatever else it might be in order to do that. And typically, it's not impossible, the Charter Commission could recommend that, but that would have to be a request made by the City Council to the state legislature. So we've tended to confine our approach to what is it that the Charter Commission has the power to recommend be included in the charter that the citizens would have the power to vote. Okay. So, any other questions? Okay. So what you have is, I just want to give you an overview of what your packet of materials includes. The first thing that you have is a little memo. When I say little, because it's not that lengthy, it's only 2.5 pages, which covers the highlights of the New York City campaign finance system. All right? And that's the memo that's on our firm's letter. And I'll go through this with you in a little bit of detail, but first let me go through what you have in the packet. The first handout that you have, which is labeled Overview in your packet of materials, this is a very useful 2-page reprint. This is reprinted from the New York City Campaign Finance Board's website. And it includes the dollar amounts that are applicable to their campaign finance system, and they're laid out in particular on the second page. Okay, and so you have the amount of money that can be spent, for example, if you look in the second box, well, the first box limits the amount of campaign contributions. These set forth what the campaign contributions are for an individual. There's also regulations dealing with political action committees. And then there are spending limits. Now remember that the spending limits are applicable only to those who agree to participate in this program. This is a voluntary program. The carrot, of course, is that you get the money from the city to help finance your campaign. Okay? And we're going to go through some of the details of this, describe to you how the system works. But first, I just wanted to explain to you that this is what this overview page is. It gives you the numbers. The next packet in your material is an example of the certification packet that a candidate would be required to read, understand, and sign in order to participate in the city's campaign finance system. Again, reprinted, if I recall correctly, down from their website. And if you just turn to the third page, this is my favorite page. This is the 2007 new Special Election Certification Form. This form legally binds you as a participant in the campaign finance program. All right? So you would have to fill out and file this kind of form. All right?
By 2 days from now.
Well, this is because of the special election. As you may have followed in the news, there was an election that was held to fill a vacancy, and it turns out that the person who won that election was not qualified to hold office because the winning candidate did not live in the councilmanic district from which he was elected. Why these people run, this happens occasionally, it just occurs. It's a little more embarrassing when it's the only election occurring. It's a special election, so now they have to do it all over again, hence the tight time frame. Okay? This next one is a similar packet. This is a file registration now for the 2009 elections. Okay? And it gives a variety of the information that would be required to be filed. Now the next is the actual provisions in the New York City Charter that deal with campaign finance and related provisions. Please note that this is downloaded. The reason that we downloaded this from the city's website is that I didn't want to give you the old version of the charter and then what is the pocket part, that's the back amendment, and then you'd have to integrate the two together. So I did it from the website where they're already integrated together. As a result of that, there's a little bit of extraneous material here, and it's not printed out as efficiently as it would be if it was all following the same page. So there's a few extra pages as a result, but nothing I think that's really a problem. And I'm going to explain to you a little bit tonight what the elements are of the system, what's in the charter, what's in the code. Now, the bulk of the material is in the New York Administrative Code. This is one of the things that I will probably recommend to you, that if you're going to get into this area, and this is something that you think you might actually generate proposed legislation, that the provisions be included in the charter and not be included in the Administrative Code. The only reason that it was done this way in New York City is that New York City actually adopted a local law amending their code before they amended the charter. They actually came in with a charter amendment after the code, and therefore they didn't put as much in the charter as they might have otherwise, because it was already in the code. We will probably, or at least I would probably not recommend to you that you follow that pattern, but of course in order to give you an understanding of what their system is, I reprinted the code for you. And again, it has some extraneous material in here, including some legislative history. You'll know the difference between the two if you turn down. Let's see if I can find a page for you that's this way. Okay, the pages are grouped by the chapters. The second group is like page 2 of 15, 3 of 15. If you go into that second group, and if you work your way down to page 12 of 15, you're all there? It's got a paragraph, it's got section 21, then section 22, and then it says 4, provisions of local law 59-2004. We all see that? The provisions of local law 59 of 2004 is actually legislative history. They're telling you what the local law said that was then codified, it was then spread out into the code section. So I don't want you to get confused when you read this. When you see something like that, it's giving you the legislative history of what the actual local law said. And that legislative history goes for the next 4 pages. Okay? So if you're confused, if you have questions about what is in and what is not in, the basic thing is the stuff that is in the larger type. That's probably the easiest way to discern it. Okay, it's in the larger type. The other stuff is in smaller type. All right. Now, let's discuss the basic elements of the system, so that when you read this stuff, you won't be trying to grab it all for the first time. The system basically is comprised of the following elements. First, there are a series of rules regarding campaign contributions, campaign expenditures, reporting, okay, and voluntary participation in that system in order to then obtain matching funds. So one big chunk of all of this is set up the rules of the game. The next big chunk, and I'm not necessarily not giving them to you in any particular order, just that these are the basic chunks, if you will. The second is that there is a board, this campaign finance board, that is set up to, for all intents and purposes, administer this system. Now, this is an instance where you absolutely need an independent board. You certainly can't have an elected official who is holding office overseeing this. So if you're going to have a system which will have any kind of campaign finance rules to it, I think it's almost essential that there be a board that goes along with that system to administer it, to monitor it, and even to enforce it. Okay? Because where there is money, there are often violations, unfortunately. It's the name of the game.